This episode of Baby, This is Keke Palmer is sponsored by Dove, a proud co-founder of the Crown Coalition. Keep watching to learn more about their amazing work to continue shifting culture to celebrate Black hair. Now let's start the show.
And they're like, why is your hair like that? Or if we had braids, questions people would ask me, like, how did you grow your hair so fast?
When I first had crochets, they was like, what is that?
Yeah.
Very much, how did you grow your hair that fast? We believe you now.
Yeah.
What they did to your hair?
Yeah.
And you're like, we've been telling you.
Yeah. Having that reinforcement at home to remind you, like, no, you are enough. You don't need to ask questions about whoever outside is wondering about your hair.
Yes.
It's beautiful, it's lovely, and you should just celebrate it and enjoy it. And that's been my truth ever since.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I want to talk to you, obviously, today about the Crown Act. Dove has started the Crown Coalition that has also impacted the passing of the Crown Act and making sure that it's more possible for women, Black women, to be able to wear their natural hair. As you know, sometimes the act of assimilation and just discrimination has stopped us from being able to be free in the workplace.
Right.
And so the Crown Act and the Crown Coalition are helping to change that. And I'm excited to talk about it with Uzo because she's Nigerian American.
Okay.
And I think obviously culturally, there's a different conversation surrounding natural hair when it comes to African people. Obviously, you grow up in an area where mostly everybody is Black.
Yeah.
And in America, unless you're in Atlanta, it depends on how much Black culture you are surrounded by.
Absolutely.
And then the conversation surrounding the workplace and different types of workplace can influence your comfortability with wearing your natural hair.
Right.
So you may have a situation where like you work in an office and you feel like you got to wear straight hair. And when you think about it, obviously, people have always been doing different things with their hair. But the idea that a place can control what you do with your hair.
Absolutely.
And how they choose for you to be perceived is a crazy thing.
Right. Well, just imagine if you're a lawyer and you work for the, United States Attorney officer, big time. You're a big time attorney. And you're walking in for a case and you have a big giant afro. I mean, what do you think?
Mom, why are you making me laugh? What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, I'm open-minded, so it wouldn't bother me at all. But what do you think society as a whole would think of a female woman, Black, coming into a courtroom with
they would judge her. They would judge her real bad.
Right.
They would judge her real bad.
Why? And we laughing about it, but
I'm laughing because laughing at my pain because that's really ignorant and messed up. But we know that that's what we've been up against.
Of course.
And that's why I asked what I was saying in the beginning because you have
you just imagining that woman coming there with that big fly afro trying to plead her case.
You know why? Because I do think fortunately and unfortunately. And the unfortunate part is only because of discrimination. Right. But you have a world where afros, Diana Ross wearing them, Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5 wearing them. It's a thing. And then you have Angela Davis, and now everybody feels like it's a threat.
Oh, of course.
And so different type of hairstyles and popularity, somebody like Angela Davis wearing a fro should not make that become a threat. But I do think that historical relevance does add to why people feel like it's some type of statement to wear a fro.
Well, I also think women that wear their hair short, right?
Oh, yeah, same thing.
That's a negative thing, too.
Oh, my gosh, people
you're trying to be a man.
Yeah.
You trying to act like a man.
That's
You're not a man, Or she's just aggressive.
Yeah.
She's aggressive. And I think women tend to soften themselves up by straightening their hair or wearing conservative styles because that makes them acceptable.
And I think that's the real point when we talk about natural hair, specifically of Black women or the crown or the afro, is for whatever reason, it can be seen or it has been seen because of propaganda as a threat. It has been seen as unconventional because we are not the quote unquote standard of beauty. So now it's unconventional. It comes with this idea that you are making some type of statement, whether you are trying to or not, it just comes with that. And then you have this whole ideology around it where it's like, you're just up against so much when you're simply just wearing your hair. Like I remember when I shaved my hair off, everybody was like,
what's she going through?
See what you doing. It was either, I see what you doing, sister, or it was, what you going through. And it's like, I'm not really going through anything, but I am evolving my idea around my hair.
Yeah, everybody think everybody's going through something when they change their look or they change their, just like when you cut your hair off,
The
especially
concepts
with
of
women,
beauty.
they want to know what's she going through, what's happening. And sometimes you just want to cut your hair. You just want to do something different. It could be seasonal. My mother would change her hair seasonal.
And even if you are going through something, what is it? Why does it mean I'm going through something bad?
Right.
I could be going through something that's amazing. You know what I mean? And it's inspired me to want to change my hair or do a new look or whatever it may be. It is the things that, again, we're constantly having to fight against. Perception of how something is perceived, the level of seriousness that someone has just based off of their hairstyle. You know what I mean? But then there is a truth and reality to hair speaking to your vibe.
Right.
Speaking to what
you're
about.
What I don't like, and I don't know if this is a part of the Crown Act or anything like that. Obviously, I know what the Crown Act is, and when it, I was happy when it passed. But what I don't like is how everyone wants to attach weave hair or wigs or any of that thing to black women. There are just as many white women and women of all cultures that wear weave and extensions and all.
Dolly Parton?
Yeah, lots of them. You don't even know they're doing it because no one ever even assumes they're wearing it. But it's always black women. There's always this negative connotation to that. And my thing is, I don't think there's anything that exists in America just for black people.
And there's
I imagine somebody else is benefiting.
And there's also this idea that, especially when people would be calling out appropriation, where people would call out black women and say, but you're wearing, somebody from somewhere's hair, that's appropriation. And that's really untrue and insensitive to the history. People wouldn't just decide to change their hair. They had to.
I also
Some people
point
did.
out too, because Angela Bassett pointed this out to me as well. A lot of black women in the entertainment business, they wear wigs and all that stuff because they don't hire people that know how to deal with our hair. You know what I mean? We're in these, positions where we have to go on television. They have to put heat and stuff on our hair, and it breaks our hair out. They don't hire the right people to take care of black hair. There's not enough trained people that know how to deal with black hair. So we put wigs on because it protects us.
Yeah, and there's something to say about societal pressures, wanting to be serious. What you just said, even as a black woman, and your perceived, what societal biases has made you think about what it means to be a serious black woman. All of those things people are affected by, and that's a real thing. I mean, let's think back to me going to school with all the kids. And when you would have my natural hair out, I had no problems with my natural hair until they started saying that I had crunchy hair. They started... the white kids, they said, your hair is crunchy. Girl, that hurt my feelings so bad.
I'm laughing because that's from the hair gel.
Yes.
Because
it was crunchy.
But people don't understand. Wait a minute. Let's explain this.
It's just dried up.
Let's explain this. So, when you're in Chicago, it's very cold, guys. So it's totally different than when you growing up on the West Coast in LA. So when you grow up in a cold climate and you put the wave gel on your hair, and you go out in the cold, it will freeze your hair.
That shit get hard. They started knocking on my hair. They said, your hair is hard.
You got crunchy hair.
Your hair is crunchy.
So that
made me so sad.
Your hair was so cute.
And by the way, it was.
Yeah.
But I think all hair is beautiful.
Yes,
but when societal standards say beauty looks like this, everybody be affected at a certain degree.
Well, I'll never forget, you had a publicist once that told me, well, she's not getting covers because she doesn't have the conventional look. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And she showed me all these photos of all these young girls, and they all had the same look. They were all white, Caucasian girls. And I said, well, she can't change her skin. That's not going to work. And they were like, no, her hair. Her hair. She needs to style her hair the way they're styling their hair. And it basically was just long and straight. I didn't see anything spectacular. I didn't see nothing.
I'm kidding.
I didn't see anything spectacular about it. And I just said, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. You're beautiful no matter.
But when I got the cover to Cosmo, what was my hair like?
It was your natural hair.
Period, Pooh.
It was your natural hair, and I couldn't. And also, I'm over emotional, and I'll cry over many things. But I'll never forget the scene in Nope. in the beginning when you and your brother, he comes to pick you up and you get in the car with him and you guys are riding to the farm, where you were raised. And in this scene, Emerald, your character, puts her head on the windshield. And as she's looking out the window, the hair is blowing, the wind is blowing your hair, and a curl is just like blowing outside the window. And it really touched me because I was like, that's my little girl, and that's her real hair. And that's the hair that I told her she was beautiful with.
That's right.
When she was a kid.
Yeah, and the
now
kids would
she's
say my
in
hair
this
was crunchy.
big Hollywood movie with her real hair.
That was a big moment.
That I've always told her was beautiful. That was a enormous moment because as a mother, I had always told you your hair was beautiful.
That you sure did.
And in that scene, which you will always be immortalized, people will watch Nope and they will see that scene and your natural curly hair is blowing through the window.
And I never had a character that guys loved more. That's the funny thing about it. Guys have literally...
Well, they was into Pimp, too. That's interesting.
And she had locks.
Yeah, she did. Well, she did. So
that character...
Yeah.
Literally, people are obsessed with that character, and they find her to be beautiful, and I think that's huge. And I remember when Jordan picked that hair for that character, it was so important to him, the Black American iconography.
You guys went back and forth, because I remember you guys went back and forth.
He wanted braids,
should you wear braids, or should you wear your regular hair? Should you wear braids? And I remember when you got the call that he said that you were going to wear your regular hair, and you were so happy.
Because I think it was so, even though I had gone through my own understanding of my hair and that external validation was not necessarily needed because I had been wearing my natural hair. That's how he saw it.
Absolutely.
And I went through the thing of, obviously the pressures of having to have my hair a certain way for my jobs and that being a part of being an actor, but also something that I really wanted to have a check and balance with of, do I really love this or do I really feel like I have to do this? So then I cut my hair off and then I grew my hair back and then I had my fro and all of that good stuff. And so by the time that I got to that place where a director like Jordan Peele wanted his character to be representative of someone that truly looked like me, where there was no modification.
Right.
I really was like, wow, this is so touching and awesome and aligns with everything that I know to be true at this point in my life. But everything you had always taught me. You had always told me that my hair was so beautiful. I remember my first headshots was my hair all crunchy.
Yes.
And you always said, you're gorgeous.
Yeah.
But I think, again, this is something that all people that are experiencing, we're talking about the Crown Act right now, but there are so many different areas of discrimination of all kinds of people where you're not really wanting to change yourself. And I talk about this in Master of Me. You're not really ever wanting to change yourself. You're not actually really ever unhappy with yourself. You just don't want to have to prove your value.
Right.
And when your value is attached to all these things, how you wear your hair, how you wear your clothes, how you talk, how much of your accent is there, how tall are you, how short are you, it's tough not to be affected by it. And that's why this kind of thing is so important, is to reclaim people's autonomy and their individuality. There's nothing wrong with doing whatever the hell you want, but you shouldn't be judged based off of what you don't want to do or what you choose to do. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Unless you out here messing people up and hurting folks.
I agree, but I be wearing my Larry wig. This is my latest hair, and I love it.
Okay, I'm about to get into this with Uzo because Sharon is just too much to handle. Hey y'all, it's your girl Keke Palmer here with an important topic at hand. So let's get into it. As most of us know, it can be a long journey to find the confidence to rock your natural hair in the workplace. Now imagine finally feeling confident, only to have it snatched away by a teacher or a manager or someone else in a position of power. A downright shame. Am I right? Well, let me put y'all on to all of the amazing work our sponsor, Dove, has been putting in behind the scenes to stop that very thing from happening. In 2019, Dove co-founded the Crown Coalition to advocate for the passage of the Crown Act, which prohibits race-based hair discrimination based on hair texture and protective hairstyles in workplaces and schools. Not only is Dove supporting the passage of legislation, but they also stand in championing a society that respects and celebrates the beauty of Black hair. Even if it's obvious to us, it's important to take time and spread the word that Black hair is beautiful and belongs in every facet of society. We are here to create a respectful and open world for natural hair, okay? Together with the Crown Coalition, Dove has been committed to supporting the Crown movement and advocating for the Crown Act until race-based hair discrimination is illegal in all 50 states. I'm standing here right with them, and I hope you will too. We still have a long way to go. But with your support, we can reach our goal of 1 million petition signatures in no time. Join Dove in taking action to help end race-based hair discrimination by signing the Crown Act petition at dove.com/crown.
Baby, this is Keke.
Okay, guys, I am absolutely freaking out over my guest today. She's a 3-time Emmy award-winning actress, a Broadway star, a trailblazer in every sense of the word, and she just wrote an incredible memoir called The Road is Good. Honestly, who isn't obsessed with her? Of course, I'm talking about the incredible Uzo Aduba. Welcome to the show, Uzo. I'm beyond excited to have you here. Guys, she just told me an actual pronunciation in her dialect of her name, and so I was like very excited to try it.
Yes, and I love that you went for it.
Thank you. How have you been? Because I just saw you at Martha's Vineyard.
I've been good. Resting, relaxing, recuperated.
Looking good, feeling good.
Yes.
New mommyhood.
New mommyhood.
How's that feeling for us both?
I know, I was going to say, and
yeah.
you too. Yeah, I love it. It's like it has all the different feels. It's like there are the days where you're just like, I love her every single day. And then it's like learning your new self in this new chapter. It's also like learning your new self without sleep. It's learning.
And I feel like you're just a few months after me. Like, how old is she?
9 months. A day by my bed. She's 9 months.
A day by.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, a day by.
Yeah.
Now, how long did it take you to get that name?
I had always had that as a name I loved. It's a name for my culture. It means daughter of the people, daughter of the kingdom, therefore making her the daughter of the people.
Ooh!
And so it means daughter of the people.
Strong.
Yeah. And I've always loved it, like in the background. And I had a couple others. And then as we were deciding, it was like, well, what about this? I tossed it out there. It happened to land. We stuck the landing. Go hashtag Simone Biles.
Okay. Love her.
Love. And it just worked. And it's like, whenever I look at her, I'm just like, wow. I can't even believe.
It's shocking. And I love what you were saying about the name, because I feel that same way about my son. Like, even though there's no particular meaning to his name, Leotis, I chose the name because it felt very community driven. Like, I would always say, it feels like he was marching with Martin and them. You know what I mean? That kind of strong community name. So I really feel you on that. And I'm just, congratulations. I know for me, it feels a whole new world. You don't know how you live without them.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Not at all. Not at all. Like, but then at the same time, I think sometimes, I don't know if this happens to you, like, I'm still in that phase where I'm like, I have a baby. Like, you're my child. And then I'm like, is someone coming to, get you? Like, I feel like there's going to be a day somebody's going to knock on the door and be like, hi, we're here to pick up our daughter. And I'd be like, seriously. Right. But then at the same time, my heart would be broken if that day came.
It's very otherworldly. You know what I mean? The responsibility, I think, is what puts us in that kind of ethereal place, because you're just kind of like, wow, so I created it came from me, and now I'm responsible, and I don't even know if I'm responsible to myself.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But somehow we figure it out.
We're figuring it out.
Just like you figured out writing this amazing book. Yeah. The Road is Good, how a mother's strength became a daughter's purpose. Let's talk about it. What made you want to write a book, and how was the process of writing it?
Okay, well, when I got with Viking, and the book that I pitched was not actually the book that I ended up writing.
So what was the book you pitched?
The book I pitched was like, it's like all these funny stories, like, oh, my mom, we're from Nigeria. She has all these funny, quotes, and work hard. I've never heard of nothing coming from hard work, blah, blah, blah. Nigeria, orange is the new black. You know what I mean? That was the book. And then life sort of changed in the midst of writing it. My mom, unfortunately, was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh my gosh.
And life was going to take a different turn now. And we had a finite amount of time together in the midst of it. And we were writing the book together. We were collecting all these stories with her and, from her life and growing up. And then suddenly it became another book that came out of it. So quite literally, the book I set out to write was not the book that I wound up sitting down to write. Because by the time we finished, she was no longer with us,
Oh my gosh, first of all, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that's amazing, like just going back to motherhood, it's like they never leave you.
No.
Everything that's like put into you, like I was wondering, like having my daughter, I was like, am I going to know what to do? Is this, what is this going to be? I wish my mom was here. But you realize like they pour into you so deeply, so fully that she is every part of my mothering. You know what I mean? And it's like she might not have been here at the end of it, but it's like, wow, boy, so much of her still lives inside of me,
And that makes so much sense of the subtitle, How a Mother's Strength Became a Daughter's Purpose, because I feel the exact same way. I remember I used to think about that often when my grandmother passed, like, because she was a big part of, how I was raised. And I would be like, man, I just wish she could be here for this, or, those same things you're saying. But then you hear, or you go through something and you hear their voice.
That's it.
You go, girl, f***ing people, or whatever, whatever it might be, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can always access them because they live through me. It's almost like Mufasa and the Lion King.
Yeah, that's what I say. That. I was like, remember who you are.
And so it really is so true, and it's such an important thing to have when we do, because one day they aren't going to be there.
That's right.
And so remembering and holding on to that is really important. And that's so insane to imagine during the process of the book. She was a part of that beginning stage, and then you had to let her go through the book just as you had to let her go in life. How was it at the end point?
At the end, it was much like, the saying of the goodbye, and realizing I had grown up so much, and that actually, you know what? She had given me everything I needed to get through this life, to move through this life. Every lesson, even lessons that I didn't even know needed to apply at later stages when maybe I couldn't necessarily call her. She'd already given me the wisdom, given me the guidance. All of it had already been shed. The light had already been shed on me. So when I came to that end and completion of the book, it was, of course, hard. But you know what? I was also so full of gratitude, knowing that I had such an incredible mom who had already given me all that I needed. And that's the thing about it that's like so great, having had the experience of writing it, that it's like, as I continued on, I realized like, wow, this woman really has, lived an incredible life, which we talk about in the book. And it's like through her seeding of her, through her own life, like my passage was already paid for.
Yeah, that's
way,
right. And honey, I say that all the time. I remember we were at my sister's graduation. She was graduating from FAMU. And I don't know, my brother doesn't say a lot. He's a little quiet, emotional Pisces. And, we were talking about something with, just career and how she was able to pay for, I think my mom was like, because of everything we sacrificed and how we've been able to do this business with your sister, your baby sister didn't have to pay, didn't have to go into debt trying to pay for college.
Yes.
We were just saying that was a blessing. And my brother says to me when we got out of the car, he's like, you're what they prayed for. He was like, I don't know what it was or what happened, but now is our time. Yes. And so it's so similar to what you're saying, where when we start to see the seeds that were sowed for us, whether it was a prayer or what was just the hard work that our parents did, and you start to see it really, just unveil before our very eyes. So I want to talk to you about the Crown Act.
Yes.
And you're from Boston,
yes,
a Nigerian American,
yes.
And I feel like with Black Americans, a lot of times, especially in the coming years, we've been able to finally get into a place where it's welcome to wear hair anyway. Like there was so long. I mean, now we have the Crown Act where it's like let people wear their hair the way they want to wear their hair.
Right.
I'm curious for you growing up with your Nigerian background. Seems like there was probably always an acceptance to your hair from where you're from. How was it growing up though, and in your community when it came to that?
That's exactly right. So my mom brought so much of, like, talk about the teachings. She was like, you all are going to love yourself. Like, she used to say this thing. She's like, I never knew there was anything wrong with being Black until I came to America. Right. She was like, everything, the fullness of who we are and our culture was celebrated. She didn't know any other way, and she wanted that for her kids. And it was so funny because when we were kids, she'd, braid our hair down, and she loved, remember the little beads?
Oh, yes.
Yes, we had all the beads, and she'd do green, white, green for the Nigerian flag. She was like, we're here. You know what I mean? Like in the school. And I loved it. And I was so proud of it and happy to have my hair like that. I thought, oh my gosh, my mom did all of this. And I love shaking my head and all the, the noise it makes when you shake.
Yeah.
And then kids, it was difficult. Kids, teachers, looking at you like, why is your hair like that?
Yeah.
Being the only Nigerians, yes, but also like one of very, very, very few Black people in our town, you know? And they're like, why is your hair like that? Or if we had braids, you know, questions people would ask me like, how did you grow your hair so fast?
When I first had crochets, they was like, what is that? Very much, how did you grow your hair that fast? Girl, God.
Exactly. Sally, so you heard of it? You know?
Exactly. Sally, you never heard of her?
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
But it's that kind of feeling, and it does put you in a place at first you start to wonder, like, well, is there something, what's going on with me? And then, you know, thank goodness, you know, and I know, I'm sure the same for you, it's like having that reinforcement at home to remind you, like, no, you are enough. You don't need to ask questions about what whoever outside is wondering about your hair. It's beautiful, it's lovely, and you should just celebrate it and enjoy it. And that's been my truth ever since.
Yeah. I think that's been pretty much the same for me. I mean, when I was a kid, my mom was definitely somebody moving out of that you got to perm and relax your child's hair, because my sister did it and all her hair tore it out. So they were definitely on a different page where it was like, you know what? The concept of assimilation at the risk of your own health or happiness or just fullness, we ain't doing that. And so it was like very much so braids, crochets. I remember my mom used to always encourage me to wear my afro, but I would sometimes be, you know, because I went to private school. So sometimes I'm like, I wish my hair could go straighter. Or like do the braids. That's better than the, you know, so it was definitely a road for me when it came to natural hair, especially getting into the entertainment industry. You know, it's the same thing as any corporation where it's like, we want you to look like this. We want your hair to be like that. But then when I reached the age of what I think it was like 22, 23, I was like, you know what? I'm going to just chop all my hair off. You know, I had gone from the braids, the weaves, et cetera, which all of that is fine. But I think from the point of view I had at that time, it was based in feeling like it was something I had to do, as opposed to something that I was just doing to express me. And so when I cut all my hair off and then it started to grow back and I started having my fro, and it was so freeing to reach that point in that place, to feel like I didn't have to... I wasn't chained to one thing in order to really work and do my thing.
Well, and that's the point of the Crown Act. The point is you are allowed to come however you want to come to the world. And if that means you want to wear your hair in locks, get to wear your locks. If you want to wear it in braids, you get to wear your braids. If you want to show up with your afro, you get to show up with your afro. If you want to show up with bundles and a weave down to your knees,
please
let that happen. And at no point in the road should that discount your intelligence or your ability to be seen, viewed as equal and worthy.
Yes.
Full stop.
Full stop. And when you're mentioning that, it makes me also think about Black women in sports. I think about Venus and Serena. I mean, and just all the different barriers that they broke. And even Simone Biles and how she's spoken out against all of the just discrimination that we get when it comes to our hair. Like, honey, I don't know if you know, but there's no way that you're having a clean press and running track and doing flips and backflips and it ain't going to sprout out on you. It's going to happen. And so I think instead of feeling like it's a form of us having to constantly assimilate, it's actually you understanding, learning, educating yourself on what it means to have black hair.
That's correct.
And I'm sure you know that experience as well on the sets.
That's right.
Girl, these sets.
That's right.
The union becoming more diverse, getting more people to understand how to deal with black hair. And I don't even want to say deal, but know how to embrace it, how to celebrate it, and actually not try to force it to be something else.
That's right. And it's moving away from assimilation and stepping into celebration of who we are. That's the intention. That's the point. And I think when we do that, we really get to see all of ourselves and the power and the glory that we as we exist.
Yeah, and being able to try new things. Like, girl, when I first realized what it was to do the Flexi Rod set, oh honey, I wore everybody out. And so sometimes when you're not allowed to, like, I don't want to say allowed, but when you don't feel the freedom to be able to try those things out with your natural hair, you become so much more skilled in every other hair. Can do a weave down, can bust a whatever wig up. But when you really have fun, you can get into those Bantu knots. Get into those, like I said, the twist out.
You did when we did, you remember the Pixar Buzz Lightyear?
We did Buzz Lightyear.
And you looked as beautiful as I have ever seen you look in your natural hair. You had a low cut at that time.
It was
gorgeous.
My rod set.
And it was beautiful.
Thank you.
And it's powerful and empowering to other girls who get to see that, to be like, yes.
And in that movie, I think that was also
for
a thing
sure.
with the animation. When they told me that was a big part of what they wanted to do with the animation with our two characters.
Yeah.
I thought that was so important, and they really went in. They were like, "We're doing the fine detailing of the coils." I said, "Yes, get into the coils, get into the coils, and make it work." When you decided to go along with this with Dove, what was your excitement about really focusing on the Crown Act and just being a part of that in this way?
I was super excited. I came into this business playing a character who wore their natural hair.
Yes.
And so that
One of
was
the most iconic.
Yeah, thank you. That was my entree, you know what I mean? And I've always worn my hair natural, and so it was excited to do that and excited to move into other parts. And it just kind of became this thing where I was like, I want to be consistent with that. That doesn't mean that I can't have characters with bundles, but even if I do, I want like that to have still a little bit of texture to it, you know? And so I was really excited when Dove came into the picture and wanting to, collaborate in that way, because I want to be a force of celebration. I have a daughter. You have a son. What are they going to see moving forward, right? And understanding the whole totality of who we are. What is? I want her to see examples of her in just the state she came into this world as enough.
That being enough. That is so
enough.
important. That's the other thing to it that I always loved when it came to Blue Ivy, that Beyonce never mentioned it or said it, but the idea that I got from it was like, there is no putting her hair up. There's no need, there's no done. It's just her hair.
Done.
It is done, baby. It exists. It's a crown. She's rocking it.
Yes.
If we want to do something, we will when we want.
That's right.
But the message I thought was so loud and clear was it already is what it is.
Yes.
It doesn't need to be anything else. What's your favorite hair care routine? Like for me, I've really learned more and more and more moisture.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it seems like it was normal, but I feel like I really didn't realize how often I needed to do that, especially when I'm wearing my wigs. Really oiling, really doing my moisturizer, putting my little cap on, or doing me a little heat oil wrap to make my hair more malleable. You know?
Mine is less and less heat.
You know that's hard, girl. So these days, they don't want you to even blow dry. You know what I mean? The girls are serious. It's like, geez, let me get a minute.
I stopped putting heat on my hair, and let me tell you,
She said, "Let me
not
tell
roses, weeds. They are growing. It's growing like a weed. You know what I mean?
But don't you think that's also the baby? Because after you have a baby,
that came out. No, before the baby. No, girl. First of all, let me tell you something. After the baby, can we talk about hair?
Yes.
Those edges.
Yes, I know. And we all thought it wouldn't happen to us.
And it did.
They kept telling me, and I was like, no, girl, my edges are gonna be good.
No,
baby, my edges were gone. I couldn't believe, what is that
gone.
about?
Had me looking like Benson. I was gone. Gone.
That is so hurtful.
Yeah.
And it's like, why does it? I really would love to know the science of why my edges.
Why my edges? The thing that we revere and hold at the highest of esteem, were suddenly at the kitchen. They were gone at the nape of my neck. They were gone. It was a question mark. It was questionable. My sister Brie over here.
You were hilarious. No, seriously. It really is. And I kept thinking to myself, like, no, I'm good. My stuff has lasted. Baby was 5 months, gone. I lasted up until then. It was so crazy.
Brushing them over. It was.
I just put them wigs on and just left it.
Yeah.
You know. Do you have any beauty tips for those that are just starting their natural hair journey?
Oh, just love it. I would say, twists, big twists, twist it out, rock it out. I think one of the let me tell you something. I think the biggest beauty tip I could tell someone is, before you put anything on it, learn to be able to stand in the mirror without anything else on. That's something that I feel confident about, that it's just like, I don't need, these are all tips and tricks and tools and beautiful things that modify. They do not make me beautiful.
That's right.
They modify. I can stand plainly there and feel okay.
And if it gives you a little jump scare, just know it's because we're not used to it. I think it's like when you take off your lashes, or when you take off. I remember the first time that I took my weave out and I wasn't wearing weave. I'm like, oh, my hair's thin. It's like, no, that weave was not realistic. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody hair that thick, girl. Exactly. And if it is, that's just a little gag. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, I think there's also that layer too when it comes to starting to wear that natural hair, is like that it is, in fact, natural.
Yes.
We get, like you said, the modifications, they're meant to be larger than life.
Yeah.
Makeup, when people get on makeup and they want a natural makeup look, honey, it's meant to look fake.
Yes.
It's makeup. Give me glam. Give me diva.
Yes.
And I think it's the same thing when you're not rocking your natural hair. So when you do make that stage to go to natural hair, like, recognize that it is natural.
Yeah.
And fall in love to what that natural look is. You know what I mean? We can't make it what it's not.
Yeah, and figure that person out, that version of yourself out, and then everything else is gravy.
Yeah, and it's so true what you said, too, about, like, getting into doing something to it, because a lot of times people think, oh, well, my natural hair is just wash and go.
No.
Yes, that is a vibe.
Yeah.
But there's also
So much
get you a
more.
little twist on the side.
Yes.
Or do a little twist out.
Yes.
Do a little braid out. There's so
Pick it out.
Pick it out. Do it in a big fro.
Yes.
You know, that's the thing too that I feel like when I started my natural hair journey that I didn't realize. When I actually worked with a hairstylist that knew how to do my natural hair, I started to see, oh my gosh, I can do just as many diverse things with this as I could with any of the other wigs, weeds, or whatever I was doing. You know what I mean? So I think that's a big piece too that helped me. Have you ever faced challenges in your career when it came to your natural hair? We were kind of talking about that before too. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes. I once worked on a film where the hairstylist said they knew how to do natural hair.
I know this.
I certainly did not know, because you might have been cast in the part. Did not know how to do 4C. You know, and here's the thing.
I live for.
I
This Boston accent,
I'm trying to keep it up here. So, but here's the thing. I remember I had been so sure that was not going to be the case, that they really, really knew. And what I learned in that experience was that they're actually used to being assisted. This stylist being assisted. And instead, I chose to let me do my job, which is learn my lines, and let this person do their job, which was they did not actually have the skill set.
Oof.
And to lay her down, this is a true story. To lay her down, they put a garbage bag on my head because they didn't have paper or a scarf or anything. It's a true story. And it just so happened that the powers that be, this is God, nothing but a God thing, came in and saw me with the bag on their head. And this is where change and why Crown Act is important and how change happens. Because I think they were so sure up until that moment that they had the right people in place and had been pushing back against, And then when they saw me with that garbage bag on my head.
That's crazy.
They were like, no, this is a real thing. And then thank goodness though, the very next day they brought in somebody who knew how to do black hair.
But it's so unfortunate that you even had to go through that.
It is unfortunate.
Experience for them to. I hate how that happens, because that's happened to me too in my own way, where it's like there's been something done. I've been humiliated. I got on there and I look crazy, and then wow. We believe you now.
Yeah.
What they did to your hair?
Yeah.
And you're like,
I've been telling you. Yeah.
We've been telling you.
Yeah.
I just hate that.
100%. And it shouldn't happen that way. And this is why it's important to have people who have, the skill sets and abilities.
I speak about this all the time with the union. Mm-hmm. That's the thing with the union that we're always fighting up against, is just the diversity of people, that what they know how to do with hair.
Yeah.
When a lot of times when I do meet black hairstylists in the union, they say, you have no idea how hard it was for me to get into this union.
Right.
And obviously you don't only have to be black to know how to do black hair.
That's exactly
But you
right.
need to take a class or something. That's just like we do with any skill.
Diversity in that term means actually diversity of skill set.
That's right.
That's what we're talking. That's actually what's being asked for, is that the skill set is diverse.
Yeah. Yes. 100% facts.
And yeah, so that was a challenge. But you know what else I learned from that moment was to always stand up for myself.
Yeah.
And out of that challenge of being, like you said, humiliated and not tolerated, it made me also recognize when you know something to be factually correct,
mm-hmm.
to speak up in that moment for yourself and not back down or away from it.
Yeah. Yeah. So legend has it that you actually came in with the Bantu knots for your Orange is the New Black audition for your character Suzanne, a.k.a. Crazy Eyes.
Yeah.
What made you do that. And then also, what is the importance of crafting a character to you from inception?
I think, well, number one, what made me do that was I had a lot of auditions. I used to wear my hair in bunch and knots all the time. I can't wear them at all anymore because people are like, crazy eyes. But I used to wear them all the time prior to getting the show. And so I had another audition that day that I had put them in the knots, and then I had twisted it out, and then I put them back up so it would be cute for my audition performance as it goes. And then time was running low, and I realized I was like, oh, I don't have time to like style my hair. I was like, it's fine. I was like, in prison. I was like, it's fine. I was like, she's in prison. I was like, it's fine. I was like, I can leave my hair like this.
Oh my gosh.
But what I didn't know or expect was that would be something that our incredible creator, Jenji Kohen, would want to keep. And she loved them so much. And she loved from that, the Bantu knots. And then she wanted to do twists.
Yeah.
And she wanted to keep her natural the whole of that show, and I'm so grateful for it. I loved going. I mean, it was really easy to go to work, and just have that up as the style. Yeah, and I think it's like, if I'd say to like an actor, it's like, yeah, don't be afraid to be creative. Like in those spaces as you're coming up with a character, it's like, think of all the parts. Does she have nails? Does she not?
And I just want to give you so much props on that role with Crazy Eyes, because I was talking about having a conversation with somebody just a little bit ago about how, as a Black actor, you always have all this pressure where it almost sometimes can breathe no diversity in your work, where you're kind of playing these respectability politics, where it's like, okay, either my character is a doctor or a lawyer or nothing at all. And with Crazy Eyes, she could have been a character that's really criticized, especially as a Black character. But way you played her, and then the way that her story developed over time. What was that? Did they always see her having that big storyline, or was that something that happened because of how great your performance was?
No. When I signed on to the show, it was only for 2, possibly 3 episodes. That was the whole that she was supposed to be on for the show. And I remember I did the second episode, and we finished it, and I was being walked back to my dressing room by a producer, and she said to me, we'll see you on the next one. And I said, oh, wow, I'm going to get to do that 3rd episode. That was, I kid you not, that was the whole of my expectation for that experience. And I was like, I'm going to get to do that 3rd episode. Great.
And I'm telling you, that's because of your acting. Hands down. Because that character could have easily been just, she's just a funny, crazy, kooky character. Boom, done. Yeah. But you brought so much value to her. And when the show came out, everybody was like, who's that bitch that played Crazy Eyes? Everybody was saying that. Because you really played her down. She felt so real and not just like a caricature.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Do you think that the entertainment industry, which I feel like roles like this have probably had an impact on this, have changed the perception of the industry's idea of natural hair?
I think so. That role, my role, you've had roles like this as well, I have to say, I know you've had a big, huge, you've traded in so many different spaces career, but even like when I think back to like your starting point in the beginning, it's like, not only has hair impacted, but it's also played into the types of different characters we've gotten to see, And it's like, yeah, I think that's exciting. I think this has definitely, had an impact. I think the space that has been created for a lot of us to be able to have an opportunity to just poke our nose in and say, we're going to do it this way, we're going to do it this way, we're going to hold space in a different way. You know what I mean? Has allowed for a wave of other roles and opportunities to exist and be showcased that show us in a wider range than we've been seen before.
Yeah, and hair, it says a lot about a character.
That's right.
So when you only limit it to a few things, then you're limiting a whole backstory.
That's
because the girl that wears braids is different than the little girl that wears a pressing curl. And the little girl that wears a pressing curl is different from the little girl that wears her fro. And the girl that wears her fro is a little different from the girl that has a little shortcut.
That's right.
All of those lend themselves to a story. Yes. And I remember feeling the same way about some of my characters is the same way that I felt about Brandy growing up.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw her with them braids,
we all
wanted them braids. Give me the Brandy braids.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
It gave that vibe.
Even when she was Cinderella. You remember is she Cinderella?
Like, how did you get your braids to do that?
Yes.
We lived for that.
Yes. And the same for you holding that same stage, Ms. Broadway. Don't think I'm not going to check it. I know.
Clock it.
You hold that space for women all over. So.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
great.
And bringing it back, I mean, the Crown Act is legislation which prohibits race-based hair discrimination based on hair texture and protective styles, including braids, locks, twists, y'all know the whole deal, in the workplace and in K through 12 public and charter schools. This is important. In 2019, Dove co-founded the Crown Coalition to advocate for its passage in California and continues to advocate for its passage nationwide. Now, versions of it have been passed in more than one state. But have you seen any particular moments where you've seen the Crown Act movement actually take place? Like the impact of it, I guess I could say.
I mean, I think we can feel its impact in our day-to-day lives. Look at when you walk down the street, you see the array of doctors, lawyers, engineers, teachers, executives wearing a variety of different styles of hair. And I think that's where we see its impact. We see its impact in how we live our lives. That's where its impact was meant to exist and where it's most visibly displayed.
I couldn't agree with you more because growing up as a kid, I don't remember half the people not having, some type of straight hair. Nowadays, I see all different types.
That's right.
And I think that's an example for sure of the Crown Act has impacted. Okay, first of all, I love hanging out with you. You're amazing. And I'm so excited about all the work you're doing and the book.
Thank you, Mama.
Can't wait to the next project we do together either. Okay, and this time non-animated. Yes. I love the animation, but I would like to hang with you.
Yes.
Now, before you leave, I always play a game with my guests. So I would like to play a game with you about hair. Okay. Which style you would like over the other. Okay, we're going to call this Mane Thriller. That's M-A-N-E, Mane Thriller.
Got it.
See what we did there? Okay, so first up. The mullet or the Pauly D Jersey Shore?
Wow.
We're starting out slow.
Okay. I'm going to say the mullet because that's the party in the front and business in the back.
Okay, the mullet or the scene girl? This is a little mix of the
what is this one?
Emo culture. Scene girl.
Scene girl.
It's cute, ain't it?
Yeah.
We all had a little punk era.
Yeah, exactly.
We all did. Okay.
Get obvious.
The scene girl or the Princess Leia?
Scene girl.
Scene girl, we're staying. Yeah. You better come on. Okay, the scene girl or the Rachel. We all know the infamous Jennifer Aniston look.
Just to have done it, the Rachel.
Okay, just
to have done it.
Just to have done it.
Yeah.
Okay, we have the Rachel, and then we have the Foxy Cleopatra.
I mean, I live here anyway. So I'm going to say the Foxy.
The Foxy Cleopatra.
Yes.
Come on, Foxy Cleopatra, period. This is a hot look.
Yes.
Love the coloring in it.
Yes.
Okay, the Foxy Cleopatra or the Bump It.
Oh, gee.
The Bump It is doing a lot.
The Bump It is doing a lot, as she is meant to do. Let's try the Bump It.
Ooh, she's a fun girl.
Yeah.
If y'all haven't picked it up, Uzo's a fun girl, okay? The Bump It or the Jerry Curl?
I already had one of those. You know what I had? I had the Hawaiian silk. What distinguishes it? I don't know.
That's like when they be talking about a Dominican blowout or a Brazilian blowout. I mean, we're blowing out.
Yeah, exactly.
The Bump It or the George Washington? Because why we want to go to Carver? Mr.
Who's
George
doing that?
I mean, baby.
This looks like the woman who was on 227.
But the platinum, I'm not mad at the color. The platinum color eats down.
Yes.
Okay. The Bump It or the Beehive?
The Bump It.
The platinum we need to play with, though. That color.
You really want me to go
I'm loving the platinum. Okay, the Bump It or
the Bump It.
Woo, honey. You reminded me of that man that was like, Beyonce. You know that clip where they keep asking him, this person is that, but he's like, Beyonce. Okay, the Bump It or Lil' Kim's iconic purple wig from the 90s.
Lil' Kim. How can we not? With the pasty, all of it. We'll take it.
I feel like this shows your eclectic vibes.
Yeah.
I mean, we went from Scene Girl, we had the Foxy Cleopatra, the mullet, honey.
I won't do platinum, but I will do Lil' Kim purple.
Well, you are amazing. In all your looks, I live for you.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to have you back.
Thank you. I can't wait to be back. You're awesome.
What sign are you?
Aquarius. What are you?
Virgo.
Okay.
Virgo and Aquarius is like.
Yes. And my sister, who I'm so close to, is a Virgo too.
When's her birthday?
August 26th. Wait, is
Girl,
it your birthday?
My birthday's August 26th.
No, it's not. That's why. Are you
crazy.
serious?
I'm serious. That's crazy.
No.
You said that.
that now it makes sense.
So we're sisters.
Yes,
Period.
exactly. Really?
That's crazy.
Wow. Yes.
I love that.
August 26th.
I'm honestly leaving this conversation with Uzo feeling so inspired. I mean, hearing her talk about embracing her natural beauty and standing proud in it is a reminder that our hair is not just hair. It is a statement, a crown, and a reflection of ourselves. One thing I know for sure is that celebrating our natural hair is a journey, and it's one worth taking. Well, listeners, this was another powerful episode, and I can't wait to bring you more next week. Until then, you know it's your girl.
Baby, this is Keke. Baby, this is Keke Palmer, yeah.
And that's a wrap. Thank you all so much for sticking around and watching this extra special episode of Baby, This is Keke Palmer. I encourage every one of y'all to go to dove.com/crown to learn more and sign the petition for yourself. Now, go and stun in some Bantu knots for your girl.